Hello everybody. We got the disembodied voice today. Are going to show how to make a quick little turkey for Thanksgiving. Now, I just want to show you, this is what our turkey is going to look like. We are going to make a smaller one. This is a large turkey. I currently have kits available that have two turkeys in them. This is the larger size. The colors and the beads won't be exactly the same, but the size of the tail feathers as well as the body and the head are going to be the same. Like I said, the kits are a little different, slightly different color. We are going to make the small turkey today. So each kit that we have for sale has a large and a small turkey. So you can have, your turkey can have a friend. This is the size of the turkey that we will be making. Again, these are not the beads that are in the kit, but it's to just kind of show you the size wise. So those guys next to each other, you'll see the big one, his tail, it measures about 2.5 inches across, 2.5 inches tall. So it's a pretty big guy. The littler guy is about 2 inches. Yeah, 1.5 inches high. So that just gives you an idea. These guys are big. I am going to show you just how we make it with our kit, but I want you to know, and each kit comes with written instructions. You can make them with different parts. So this is the one we made last year. We used daggers for the tail. You can certainly do that if you have those kind of beads available to you. You can also use briolets that have those top drilled teardrops basically to make them this way. Or you can use, the center drilled teardrops that aren't the flat teardrops to make the tail the same way we're working through our turkey today. Now, I did a video that is available on my YouTube page as well as my Facebook page that shows how to make the wire feet. We are not making wire feet today. We're going to make beaded feet because I think the bigger turkeys work better with beaded feet, but you're welcome to do wire feet if that's what you want. So anyways, our kit includes, we have a body. In this case, we're looking at, I should have these already measured. This is a approximately 24 inch crystal. We have a 12-inch crystal for the head, and we have our teardrops are a 14, like an 18 by 14 size. So these crystals are from Beadoria. They are very heavy, good quality crystals. So your kit includes, like I said, the body. Then we have the head. We have tail feathers. I had an extra one put in each kit in case you drop one or break one. Those things do happen. So there is an extra one in there. We have some rondelles that we're going to use for the turkey's neck. We have some center drilled teardrops that we are using for the turkey's wattle, right under his chin. This guy has his wattle there. See? And then there's an assortment of bicones here that'll be used for the feet and the legs. And like I said, it's up to you whether you want to put crystals on your turkey's toes, but in this case, we are going to do them on this guy. I had him on his toes. I did not put them on his legs, but we are going to show how to put them on his legs today. So anyways, that's where we're at. So let's get started. First thing you got to do is basically prepare the tail feathers. So I started out, I did a couple of these already. Now we're going to do 5. We're not going to do the 6th crystal unless we have to. So for this size, which is the smaller of the 2 turkeys, so obviously the dimensions would be, the wire requirements would be bigger for the other one. I cut about 1 3/4, a little over 1 3/4 inch, and we're going to use that to make these tail feathers. In this case, I'm using antique copper. So I think with these turkey colors, you can use regular copper, works fine. Antique copper works fine. I think bronze would look great, or gold. But yeah, you want to stick with these, you know, the browns and golds, the turkey colors, right? You know, in this case, and I also use a combination of 20 gauge and 22 gauge wire. You could do it all with 20. You could do it all with 22. But I just think for the tail feathers, I definitely like to use 20 because I think it gives them a little more support. And then when I wrap and assemble the tail, I like to use 22 gauge for that. For the turkey's feet, you can use the 20 or the 22, especially if you're using this soft craft wire. You need something that's fairly easy to bend. If you're using something that's a little harder, you definitely want to go with the 22 gauge because you do need to manipulate your wire. But let's go ahead and get started. If anybody's interested, I do have some antique copper and bronze. I think I also have a couple of gold available in both the 20 and 22 gauge wire. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and contact me and I can send it right along with your kit. Just as a reminder, the kit is $20, which includes the beads for 2 turkeys. And like I said, you will have extra beads left over. And it will include written instructions. It does. So the only thing you need to provide is your tools and your wire. So as we prepare each of these tail feathers, what I do is I make a wrapped loop on one end. Now you could do a simple loop or a rolled loop, I like to call it, which I'm going to show in a minute here, on both ends if you wanted to. You know, if you're not comfortable doing a wrapped loop, go ahead and just do a simple, what I call a rolled loop. And I'm just using my pliers here just because it helps me get my wires tucked in a little better. So I have my wrapped loop. So I want to put the larger end of my teardrop on there. And then you'll have, you know, some wire left here. So to make a rolled loop, stick the wire between the 2 ends of my round nose pliers. And I just turn this. And you want this wire to be long enough. I think I cut this one a little short, but it'll work. It has to go at least all the way around because this is going to be on a piece of wire. So I may have made my loop on top a little large. So this one, I'll try to make it a little closer to the end. So when I turn it over, I have a little over half an inch, about a half an inch there. Again, you turn it 90 degrees, then put your round nose pliers. If you want to make sure you get all those loops the same size, you may want to measure or mark your plier so that you're always making your circle at the same spot. I'm not too worried about it. It's close enough for me. So I'm pulling this wire around, wrapping it, and tucking it in there. So I did a little better at, so see, I have quite a bit more on this one. But like I said, you want to be able to turn the the loop at least 1.5 times. This one will be a little more, but that's okay. And this is one of those places where you need to be careful. You want it tight. You really don't want this to move too much. I mean, it's going to move a little, which is fine. But you also don't want to do it so tight that you crack your crystal. So this is one of those places where you can crack the end of your crystal. So there we have our tail pieces. So I put the wrap loops on the top and then the rolled loops on the bottom. And see, it makes a nice dark tail feather. Now I'm going to cut a piece of 22 gauge because I'm going to be doing some wrapping, and it's a lot easier to manipulate the 22 gauge wire. So in this case, I think I'm going to go ahead and cut about 18 inches. You know, if you cut it too short, it's not really a problem because you can add more. This part of the design is pretty forgiving from that standpoint. And you don't have to worry about extra because, you know, just extra wrapping just adds some stability to your tail for your turkey. So I'm going to take this wire and I'm just going to put it through the rolled loops. And, you know, if I really wanted to, I could do a wrap loop on both ends. I just think it's overkill on this bottom one because you're not going to see it. But you do want, since that one it didn't go around as much as I'd like, I'm going to put it further in so it doesn't get as much pressure on it. So now I'm still close to one end of this wire. Again, it really is pretty forgiving. You don't have to worry too much about, there's not a specific length that you need available at that end, because all I'm going to do is wrap this wire anyways. But what I want to do is make sure that that I have enough room that these lay out next to each other. Now, they can even come out a little if you want the tail to sit flat. You know, make sure that you don't pull that wire so tight that it won't, which I think it's a little tighter than I want it. So let me loosen that up a minute. And I'm going to lay these out and see, if I pull too tight, then I'm going to end up having a really tight tail and my turkey is going to rest on these two parts of the tail. But you actually want those two ones on the bottom to sort of be straight out so that that's what the turkey's going to sit on your surface is along that flat edge. So this is the shape that you want it. And then once you have it laid out in that shape, you can pull these wires so that you can then start wrapping. Let's see, are these going around? They are. I'm just making sure these wires are crossed. You know, and you can, as long as you don't get it super tight, you can make some adjustments. So I'm going to go ahead and take the short end, and I'm just going to wrap it around this one at the end. And then I'm going to come back through and go around. And that's pretty much all I can get out of that short end. Now, like I said, I could have put that so that those were in the middle, just as easily as being close to one end of the wire. I just prefer to have this longer end. I don't know why. So I'm going to take the other end across, and I am going to wrap it around and then back through. And then I'm going to wrap it around the next one and through. And you want to hold on to these beads because you want them to end up pretty close together. Like I said, you can continue to bring them closer together, so that's not a problem. And then, like I said, I just go all the way around and through and then around in the next one. And I will double at the bottom here. Now, if you get it too loose, which can happen, you could always add a wrap around the top if you want, but I'm going to continue now to go back the other direction. And I'm going to, like I said, try to bring these closer in. And you just continue to do that until you run out of wire. And like I said, you want to make, you just go up a little and it should be getting firmer. And, the good thing about this being wire is, like I said, you can always tighten things up. And you'll see these become less floppy as I wrap around these things. So now I'm just trying to use up my wire. When you get to the end, just tuck the end in. Now, I would try to have both ends so they end up tucking on the same side. And that'll be the side that we're going to put on the inside of our turkey. So there's my turkey tail. So you'll see it'll sit somewhat flat here. Hopefully I am staying on the screen. And you can see I wrapped around. So you will see, you don't really see the loops that I had at the bottom, which is why I said you don't need to do anything fancy there. You can just use that simple rolled loop. You could do a rolled loop on the top. Now you'll notice on the top of my tail, which I don't have to fix now, but I'll fix it. I like the loops to all be facing the same direction. Now that one was a little tight. It did crack the end of my crystal a little bit. Anyways, all right, so there's the body. So the next thing you need to think about is the feet. Now I cut 6 inches of 22 gauge wire. I've got a couple options on the feet. Like I said, that you could do just the looped feet, which there is already a video out there that talks about that. If I'm going to just do the wire feet, the looped feet, I would use the 20 gauge wire. I'm actually using the 22 gauge here because I am going to make it more... Sorry about that. Spilling my trash. I'm going to use 22 gauge because I am going to do beaded feet here. So what I like to do is make him have 3 toes, which I'm going to wrap each of those 3 toes. And then I'm going to put some beads on the back of the wire just because I happen to like it that way. So I'm going to mix up these colors. So I think I will do 2 golds and a white. So the way I do it, that first bead is going to end up being to the side. So I am just taking the wire and wrapping it around that first bead. And then I am going to just do a little bit of a wrap here. It just needs to connect so that the bead's not going anywhere. Again, you're not doing anything fancy here. So, and I'm just going to tuck that in. And then I'm going to put on another bead. Now this is going to be the opposite toe. So his two toes. I'm going to wrap back around that and loop underneath in between those two beads. So see, I have the two beads there. And then I'm going to put his front toe on. So in this case, I'm just choosing to switch up the colors just for fun. I'm going to go ahead and just bring that back. And then I am going to just loop it around one side just because I like, you know, I want the foot to hold, right? So I have 3 toes there. So then I'm going to put some beads on that are going to be the legs. So I am just going to kind of alternate these beads. And I think I will just put on, I think at 3 or 4. Well, let's try 4. Hopefully that's not too many. So that would be one leg. So then I want to do the same, put on the beads for the second leg. You'll see how these are going to connect with him, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I need one more, 8. All right. And now I want to put on the 3 beads for the toes. I know this gets a little confusing, but do his middle toe first. You want that bead. So if you're using different colors and you care, you do want to do that. And then I'm going to put on his beads for his other toes. And you're probably looking like, what in the heck is she doing? But anyways, now that I have all these beads on here, now I have to sort of repeat what I did over there, you know, with the beads already on here. So I'm going to slide one down. I'm going to bring the end back up and over, and then, like I said, wrap it around. So I have a bead captured on the end here. For me, it's easier to do this with my pliers. All right, now I have the second one. So I'm going to bring that second bead up. I am going to wrap around that and loop around there. Then I've got his front toe, and I'm going to wrap back, loop around, and then I want to be coming straight out, right? So you do want a little room here. So now I've got, you know, 4 beads on each side, which I'm going to slide down near the toes, and then I am going to take my round nose pliers and I'm going to grab the middle of this wire, and then I am just going to make both go down and around, and I've made a loop. So you've got a loop there, and don't worry about what direction right now that the toes are going, because we will work with those in a minute. But you've got your toes and the beaded legs in this case. All right, so now you have to decide if you want to do 20 gauge or 22 gauge wire for putting him together. Since this is the smaller turkey, I think I'll go ahead and use 22, partly because I do have to wrap around this small bead here. So this is one of those spots where you you need to have a bigger workspace than I do so you don't make a mess here. All right, so you do not want to run short on wire here. More is better, okay? So at a minimum, you need, I would say, 15 inches of wire, but I'm going to go ahead and cut let's see. Yeah, I'm going to do 2 feet because, like I said, I'd rather it be longer than shorter. You know what? You don't have to measure. It doesn't have to be exact. Put that stuff back. I don't need it. So now what I like to do is I kind of find a hole sitting in the middle. Now, you know, you could do it up here, but so you want to think about. So this is going to sit on the ground, right, or on the floor. So actually up here would be fine. So I'm just going to see, this is the inside. So the part you want on the inside, I'm going to stick it through a hole in the wire here. And then I am going to come back through on the other side of the other tail feather. You see, this guy's a little loose, so we are going to catch him on the way back around. So I'm going to just put a twist in those wires, bring them together, but then I'm going to just bring them together. So once you get the tail, actually the legs need to go on next to the tail. So you just put the wire through that loop that we made. And I'm just going to bend it down a little just so it's clear. Then put the body on. Hopefully my using darker wire also helps you see this video a little better. So you see that I've got the legs, the tail, and the body. All right, so now I can put the neck. Now it's up to you to decide. I've given you, again, plenty of beads here. You can decide how long you want the neck. I generally, I mean, these beads are a little smaller than what I used here. When I used these here, I had 2 bigger ones. So I'm thinking, you know, I used 4. I'm going to go ahead and put 5 on here, you know, and then we'll look at it. We'll see if we think it's long enough, okay? So you should have plenty of beads. But I'm putting that neck on there. Oops. Make sure that goes in there. So, all right. I probably need to put the head on too, just to see how it looks, right? So you've got the neck beads, you've got the head, and then the wattle will be the last thing we put on there. I actually think the 4 works for me, so we're going to do just the 4 there. So now we do the wattle. Now, so since this is a wattle and not a beak, I want the big side of this bead towards the front, not the small side. If I was making a beak, like on our peacocks that we will be doing a separate video of, we would do it differently. So hopefully you can see how that goes. So I have the tail, I have the legs, I have the body, which has fingerprints all over it. That's okay. The neck, the head, and the wattle. Now you want to bend it a little bit into the shape you want before you start wire wrapping back, because otherwise it's going to get too stiff, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is wrap back around this, and then I'm going to go all the way around, right? And then I'm going to wrap around his head. And so I'm going backwards and I'm wrapping between each bead. And you can go, you don't have to go all the way around each time you wrap, but it'll give it more stability if you do. But as long as you pay attention and leave yourself, you know, so it's not too tight, so that you have room to move his neck and stuff into the position you want. There you go. It's wrapped back around the body. So then you want to wrap around the body. I'm going around the bottom so it doesn't show. And I'm going to wrap in front of the feet. I'm going to go all the way around. And then I'm going to go all the way around behind the feet. And here, you know, I ended up with plenty of wire, so that's good. And like I said, you can adjust where this wire goes around. But now that I'm back here, I am going to wrap around this tail feather. So this will help strengthen the connection of the body and the tail. So I could take all the rest of this and just continue to wrap it on the tail if I wanted to, or I can come back around the body and end it up around the neck if you want to do another wrap around there. So I think I will wrap around here. I'm going to do another run around his neck. Now I could stop it there, or I can go ahead and go, like I said, around. And I'm going to go back one more time. Just, you know, like I said, it never hurts to have a little more stability. I have the wire, and I am just going to then wrap the remaining wire around his tail. And again, I don't want the end on the outside, so if it does end up there, you might want to trim it. So I think I'll go ahead and trim that so it ends on the inside. We'll tuck that in just so it's not sticking out. All right, so there we have our turkey. So with the feet like this, I like to just sort of bend the feet so that the middle toe bead is sticking up, so it looks like he's sitting, you know, on his feet. If you have longer beads, you could use those instead of what's in the kit, but this is what your finished kit will look like. So there's your baby turkey. All right, let's just take a good look at him. And, you know, you can kind of flip these beads around if you want the wire, you know, on the bottom of his head or something. So, all right, so that's how we make our beaded turkey. Thanks for joining me, and we'll do it again when we have the peacock to make. Thanks, bye.